As you can see from the set around us, Monarch have some pretty fun toys.
Monarch is an organization that's grown up now in a world where we know these creatures exist. So they have every resource they could need at their disposal. They have incredible aircraft, incredible bases.
There's a lot of toys, underwater base, underwater subs, harpoon turrets that hold monsters down. There's all kinds of stuff.
To me, it only made sense that when facing the potential threat of giant monsters, humans would do what they do best, which is build bigger weapons and bigger vehicles to confront that threat. Ever since 2014, when the monsters really became a problem, they've stepped up their game. Basically, any environment where they might encounter these creatures, Monarch and the military have come up with sleek new technology to deal with that. Mankind will never go down without a fight.
The Godzilla story takes place on planet Earth. We're, nudging it a bit toward the future in the technology that Monarch is behind. But basically, it all has to be grounded in a way that's familiar, but also just has enough of a nudge to be next gen.
That was how we would treat their vehicles and devices and capabilities. Where will we be in 5 years? Or probably, where is the government actually right now?
Barnes, contact the Argo.
Yes, ma'am.
The Argo was meant to be something that felt like we could have and would have constructed to deal with giant monsters, something that could get from point A to point B using supersonic technology, that could launch Ospreys or other vehicles if it had to.
It's basically a flying aircraft carrier at a certain point.
There's a lot of gadgets in this film, most notably the Argo, in which we're shooting endless scenes on. The Argo is this massive ship that is so big I don't know if it could fly, and also has hovering VTOL capabilities. As an aviator, I call baloney. But it's still pretty fun. It's still cool.
Argo to Gold Squadron. Let's lure this turkey away from the mainland straight to Monster Zero.
The Argo allowed our characters to be in the middle of the action. Because a lot of Godzilla films tend to depict your human being sort of locked away in fortified bunkers, watching everything on a monitor, whereas the Argo allowed us to actually put them in the action. They're putting their lives on the line by actually flying to where these events are taking place.
We lost the squadron. ETA to Monster Zero, 30 seconds.
I love the concept of an armored flying vehicle to take on Rodan, Ghidorah, or Godzilla, but really wanted to come up with something that felt real. The Argo was meant to be sort of a tip of the hat to Flying Wings, the stealth bomber.
The interesting challenge was to keep it grounded, but also give it a little extra life without turning things like gigantic carrier airplanes into spaceships.
I've always been impressed by sort of the whole line of Flying Wings. They felt like something that would have rolled out of Area 51, from reverse engineering alien technology, maybe.
At the center of our story is this instrument called the Orca, which Emma has created, which is a vehicle for communication with these creatures. Emma has always believed that there should be a way to communicate through the bioacoustics, to sort of DJ music into these monsters' life, to be able to control them.
The Orca is a device which was created to communicate with whales and dolphins, specifically to keep whales and dolphins away from shorelines. It's an example of technology which is created with the intent to better understand the creatures, but which certain characters then corrupt to potentially weaponize.
Creating a device that creates these huge sounds that can travel all the way around the world, and is something that we can't actually hear, like a dog whistle. How do you bring that to cinematic life? It's a big task. And we treated it like a fun little science experiment, where we started building, okay, it has to be durable, it has to be portable, it has to have speakers. And it was really just like two kids making up this device and what it would be.
We wanted the Orca to feel like something that could exist, something that was real. But also because it's a prototype, we didn't want to feel too sleek and modernized, not something that was designed by Apple. But it was a joint effort between our prop designers and also our graphic designers, because the interface for the device had to feel realistic. This is something that generates sonic waves, but is also capable of listening and translating the biosonar of the creatures themselves.
Dr. Serizawa, Colonel Foster, we have been developing a prototype for a new weapon, an oxygen destroyer, designed to exterminate all life forms within a 2-mile radius.
The oxygen destroyer has its roots in the original 54 film. In that movie, it's the plot device that is used to eventually kill Godzilla.
With any luck, it will kill these things, and this nightmare will finally be over.
It just seemed like a ripe opportunity to sort of reintroduce the oxygen destroyer in this movie.
10, 9.
It seemed to make sense that the military would be secretly working on a weapon, even something that Monarch wasn't aware of at the time. The intent of it really was to show the stupidity of human interference. It comes into the film at a key point when Godzilla and Ghidorah are fighting under the ocean. And Godzilla has torn off one of Ghidorah's heads. If Godzilla was allowed to continue what he was doing, he probably would have won. Humans, again, as we tend to do, refuse to allow nature to do its thing. The oxygen destroyer destroys our only chance of beating Ghidorah, which was Godzilla. And Ghidorah is unfazed by the weapon because he's not necessarily of this earth. Serizawa Submersible was a fun little project because we knew that we wanted Serizawa to take a small sub into Godzilla's lair. The hard part was that a lot of modern-day submersibles aren't all that aesthetically pleasing.
The real submersibles that are used today, most of them are clunky and very spherical so that they can handle the pressure of being so deep underwater.
And we wanted something a little bit more aerodynamic, something a little bit sleeker.
We wanted to feel like it's a rocket shooting him into the next life, as opposed to this stupid little orb that's floating like a bubble in the water.
Even the drones that they sent out. They send out drones that, yes, work underwater, but when necessary, can rise up out of the water and become an aerial drone. I do like the idea that humans, when necessary, will rally, will work together and come up with technologies that will help us adapt to different situations.
It's fun to play around with that. It does bring you back to that childlike imagination where anything is possible.